Good evening to all of our Crime Talk aficionados. Thanks for joining us here on our Tuesday night live program. I want to thank you all for being here. Excuse me. It is May 28th, a long Memorial Day weekend. I hope you all had a time to reflect on those that had given the ultimate sacrifice to their country to make sure that we have the freedoms that we exercise on a daily basis, and oftentimes take those things for granted. And if it weren't those soldiers, sailors, Marines, Air Force, airmen, who had given, like I said, the ultimate sacrifice, we wouldn't have the freedoms that we have today. But like all things that are too good to be true, they're always under attack. Your freedoms are always trying to, what's what I'm trying to say? People are always trying to take away your freedoms, but not here at Crime Talk. All right. Our job here is to protect them on a daily basis, to make sure that the Constitution has some life breathed into it so that it actually means what it says and it says what it means. I mean, it's that simple. And that is why we love criminal law, because it is really constitutional law, ladies and gentlemen. And that's really what I do in my daily job as a criminal defense attorney is I defend the Constitution. And I guess I say, I do criminal law. I should say, actually, I do constitutional law, because that's really where it all stems from. Okay. Like I said, May 28th, Tuesday Night Live. Didn't do show last Thursday and Friday. Had to go to a wedding in the great state of Vermont. If anyone's ever been to Dover, Vermont, and as well as West Dover, I believe, is another town there near Wilmington, Vermont as well. It was very nice, very lovely. Had been a long time since I've been back to Vermont. Never been to the western side of it, as I was this past weekend. But the wedding was lovely, and so thank you for letting me take the time off to go do that. We tried to do a show on Friday, and it just wasn't going to work. Didn't have great internet service. It was kind of a slow day, so to speak. So we said we'll save it for next week. Anyway, so what are we going to talk about tonight? We have a lot to talk about. First, the Chad Daybell trial. It has come to a close, and now they're going to do closing arguments tomorrow at 10 a.m. We will bring it to you live. Actually, was it before that, Frank, at 8:30? Or it starts at 10? 10 o'clock. All right. So they're going to start at 10 o'clock. Just want to make sure of that. So if you haven't watched the previous, 128 days, no, just joking. I think it was like 28 days. Once again, another long trial. Tomorrow is the time to be here to watch that trial. I think it's going to be pretty good. Like I said, I think we all have a general idea as to the way we think things are going to turn out. But the defense in this case, frankly, did a lot better than the defense in the Lori Vallow case. Just my opinion, but I've said it before. I'll say it again. It's like the attorneys for the Lori Vallow case just kind of gave up once they had the death penalty taken off the table. And, what's the word I'm looking for? It seemed like they were just kind of going through the motions. At least Mr. John Pryor, the attorney for Chad Daybell, gave it a fighting chance. You know why I like that? Because if there is a conviction, and once all the appeals are done, and the post-conviction is all done, no one can say he didn't give it his all. He called witnesses. He was effective in his cross-examination. He retained experts, called some of them to the stand. He's met his competency standard, in my opinion. So he's got that going for them. So we can talk about the Daybell trial, the Karen Reed trial. Once again, it was on today, but they're not going to do anything until next week. I don't know if that, what we see in the Chad Daybell trial is what I'm used to. You have a trial, you go full days, pretty much full days. Yeah, okay. It was the start of a long weekend. Let them off early. We got to go do jury instructions. Let them off. Things like that. But for the most part, you just keep trucking along. I don't know if it's an East Coast thing where this Karen Reed trial, where I practice, this would be a 4-day trial, 5 days at most. It is now into like week number 4, but they only do like part days and part weeks, part of the week, 1 day, 3 hours, and then they come back. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. I'll be honest with you. Anywhere where I practice law, you start, you go until it's over. None of this chopping it up. I think it's inconvenient for the attorneys. A trial, you want to kind of get into the groove of things. You want to call the witnesses, things are flowing, right? So we got that. Just very bizarre to me. And then another thing, it's kind of a sad, and I wish him well. And obviously, I hope it all turns out. We'll give him the presumption of innocence like we do anybody. But Nick Rekeita, have you ever seen his show, Rekeita Law? I've been on his show a couple of times. I don't know how many. I don't know. Maybe I think 4 total. Most of it was during kind of the COVID time period. And I've never met Nick Rekeita in person, just kind of, backstage, so to speak, before I was allowed to come on. But several people let us know, and it was in the newspaper, so we're not totally speaking out of school. But unfortunately, both he and his wife got arrested. The police executed a search warrant on the house. I've got the search warrant application here in my hot little hands. May go through that. And not because we're going to do anything to embarrass Nick Rekeita. Like I said, I wish him the best. He's a licensed attorney up there in Minnesota. Obviously, this arrest is not going to be good for him, both personally, professionally. He's going to have a lot of new people in his life, so to speak. It seems like the kids were taken away. But like I said, we don't like to, what's the word? Speculate. And I don't want this to get out of hand, but I think, at least the truth, at least what is purported to be the truth, be found, be stated, and be stated accurately. The search warrant was executed. It was dated May 23rd. I believe that was the last day that he did a show. Actually, I take that back. May 22nd is when it was. The return was filed. And what it amounts to is, unfortunately, that they found what they believe to be narcotics. And there were several firearms in there. But it is a situation where it looks like a lot of the firearms were in the garage, not necessarily in the house, where the alleged drugs, the white powdery substances may have been found. And like I said, I wish him well. I mean, I am the most squeaky, clean YouTube person around. I mean, I don't drink. I love a good cigar. I don't do drugs, never have. I was always either involved in something where they were testing you, back in the 80s and 90s in the military. Just never did it. Never had any desire to do it. And I've said this before, when you come from a family with a long line of alcoholics in it, you're either going to follow down that footsteps or you're going to do the complete opposite. I did the complete opposite. And I just don't touch this stuff. Although I did when handed a glass of champagne at the wedding for a toast, I did take a sip of that, for special occasions, but I don't need a drink. And I'm not a big fan of drugs. I mean, I think I'm a very libertarian type of person. because, if you want to do drugs, fine, go do them. That's you. I just don't want to pay for your rehab when you got to go break into somebody's house to, get money for your drugs, or, there's issues with your kids and you can't take care of them correctly. Well, unfortunately, you're maybe probably not a good parent. You're just not a good parent. So I think there are more bad than good that come with drugs, literally of any type. So, like I said, I don't think I'm any sort of teetotaler in any way whatsoever, but I just see what despair that it brings to the world, and a lot of people don't see that, but I see it on a daily basis, and I'm telling you, just don't do it, man. I'm telling you, there's nothing. I've never met a client that was like, "Hey, I just did a couple of drugs. It was the best time of my life." Not a single one has ever said that. Okay. Usually by the time they get to me, things have started to go downhill. I mean, I remember once I had a case, this person worked for a political elected official, high ranking elected official. And this person, this is like a long time ago, got hooked on crack cocaine. And that particular person's low moment was when somehow she was at a party and somehow wound up naked and then running outside and hiding in the bushes. Because nobody thinks I'm going to become an alcoholic. Nobody thinks I'm going to get addicted to drugs. And in today's world, I hate to say it to you, but you just can't even trust your drug dealer these days because they don't care about you. We have the equivalent of the modern day opium wars. China sends over all the precursors to make fentanyl. They send it to Mexico, they mix it up, and they ship it over here faster than anybody can possibly say. It is just pure poison. And so, hey, if you're going to do it, do it. Go do it yourself. You go hang out, do whatever. But I don't want to pay for all your nonsense that comes with it. And eventually it always does. And, I know, like I said, I wouldn't say I was a friend with Nick Rekeita, but we were acquaintances. I mean, like I said, I've been on his show several times, mostly over COVID. And, it was during the Kyle Rittenhouse case, I think the Johnny Depp case as well. And that's really when his subscribers really took off. I think it was over 400,000, something along those lines about that time. So frankly, I wish him well. I know he's going to have issues probably with his law license, obviously, particularly if there's a conviction. I hope that if he has issues, that he will get the help that he needs and stay away from that stuff. Because, I think he told me, I think it was in one of his videos, he was quite adamant that, he had made more money 1 year doing YouTube. I think it was the year of the Johnny Depp trial than he'd ever made practicing law. And sometimes when that money rolls in like that, you do stupid stuff. And it affects other people. But to be fair, I think it's best to read the application for the search warrant and not have an embarrassment. But I just want to make sure we get the facts right and we don't say something that's not true. Like I said, we'll give, Nick Rekeita and his wife the presumption of innocence. And if there's anything I could do to help him out, I certainly would. But this seems like one of those cases that just sad. Somebody, young, licensed attorney, doing his YouTube thing, being successful at it. And then, like I said, drugs, potentially alcohol, bring it down. I remember watching Rekeita Law at night one night thinking, man, this guy's getting wasted, drinking his whiskey or bourbon, whatever he was doing. So anyway, this is the application for the search warrant. I'm not going to go through all the officers' stuff in the house, but other than this is in New London, County of Kandiyohi, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Maybe my Minnesota people will let me know. Kandiyohi, Kandiyohi. I think that's what I'm getting right. I think so. Anyway, they apply for a search warrant on the following grounds. The possession of the property or things described herein constitutes a crime. The property or things described constitute evidence which tends to show a crime has been committed or tends to show that a particular person has committed a crime. The facts establish the grounds for the issuance of a search warrant as follows. Your affiant, Defender Blank, a licensed peace officer in the state of Minnesota since 2009, and he's been employed by the Kandiyohi County Sheriff's Office since 2013. Since 2018, your affiant has been assigned to the Detective Division on a full-time basis, focusing on felony-level crimes, including but not limited to criminal sexual conduct, homicide, death investigations, missing persons, fatal motor vehicle crashes, burglary, theft, harassment, stalking, assaults, and controlled substances, child sex abuse materials, and financial crimes. From 2013 to 2018, your affiant was assigned to the Kandiyohi County Sheriff's Office Patrol Division for investigating street-level crimes, including but not limited to driving under the influence, controlled substance crimes, thefts, burglaries, assaults, financial crimes, frauds, and domestic violence. Okay, so we're establishing the credibility of the peace officer to the judge, saying that he is not just some schmo trying to get a search warrant, saying, hey, judge, trust me, this is not my first warrant. Then it goes on that he's conducted hundreds of hours of training, but not limited to crime scene investigation, property crimes, criminal sexual conduct, criminal interdiction, assaults, domestic violence, blah, 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 blah. Case background. On May 16th, 2024, the Kandiyohi County Sheriff's Office and a particular sergeant received a report regarding possible child neglect and controlled substance use. The reporter indicated that Nicholas Rekeita resides at this residence in Spicer, Minnesota, in Kandiyohi County. He resides at the residence with his wife, Kayla Rekeita, and 5 children ages 6 to 16. The reporter indicated that 4 people from their church had gone to him reporting neglect to the children, possible controlled substance use, and a questionable relationship with an additional couple. It was reported that Nicholas is a social media blogger and that he and his wife, Kayla, had befriended hosts from a different local social media blogger. Those individuals were identified as Aaron Michael Imholt, and April Diane Imholt. Your affiant knows personally these are personalities of the Steel Toe Morning Show, which used to be in St. Cloud, Minnesota. However, as recent years, the show has been a social media entertainment show, strictly online based. It was reported that the Imholts may have been staying with the Rekeitas at the home, and the home was in disarray and cluttered. It was reported from a church preschool teacher that the children had complained of being hungry, not being fed, and wearing the same clothes for 3 to 4 days at a time and would start to smell. Nicholas was reported to being lethargic and appearing high or drugged driving a car around. Another individual advised the reported that Nicholas will walk out randomly during sermons at church and have noticed behavioral changes in him. It was alleged Kayla looked anorexic and Nicholas had lost a substantial amount of weight recently. One individual described Nicholas of having injection or track marks on his arms. The reporter reiterated concerns for possible neglect and or controlled substance use within the home. Your affiant started to review Rekeita's and Imholt's social media blogs. The blogs are commonly related to legal issues and high-profile trials, as Nicholas is a licensed attorney. Nicholas is known to drink alcoholic beverages excessively on these video blogs. I immediately noted that Nicholas' appearance in recent months has changed. In videos from January 2014 compared to May 2024, Nicholas appears to have lost weight, appears tired, and overall appears strung out, common with controlled substance users. Nicholas commonly referred to his studio as his basement in his own residence. Nicholas has been the victim of swatting phone calls and is known to your affiant and the Kandiyohi County Sheriff's Office because of these calls. When the Kandiyohi County Sheriff's Office responded to his calls, they were at his address. While reviewing Imholt's social media video blogs, Aaron recently indicated that he and April were getting divorced. Aaron goes on to say that he had experimented with cocaine 3 times and Molly 6 or 7 times in the past recently. On December 19th, 2023, the Imholt broadcasted a podcast from Rekeita's studio, with the podcast being named Live from Spicer, STES 121923. Throughout Imhold's video blog, it is apparent that they and the Rekeitas were friends and may have recently had a falling out. It should be noted that in the recent video of the Imholds, April has at times also appeared tired, lethargic, and strung out as well. In both Nicholas and Imholt's video blogs from Rekeita Studio, it is apparent that they are in the same room and the items in the background appear the same. At one point during the Imholt's video, Nicholas walks in the background and grabs an item, which would show that the background is not a backdrop curtain and that it was the layout of the actual room. On May 22nd, 2024, Imholt did a video blog where he talked about Nicholas and insinuated controlled substance use, and also referenced a video blog that Nichols put online on May 21st, 2024 that had since been taken off the internet. Imholt indicates in this blog that Nicholas needed help and needs to get help for his kids because of his substance abuse. Imholt points out a time in the video where Nicholas has a white powdery substance on his nose. On May 22nd, 2024, your affiant was able to review the video that was taken off of Nicholas's YouTube and Rumble social media sites. And the video is from May 21st, 2024, and is of Nicholas in his basement studio talking about a court of appeals ruling he lost. He appears in the video to be drinking alcoholic beverages and eventually appears under the influence of a substance or substances. The entire video blog is 4 hours and 4 minutes long. Approximately 2:46 into the video, Nicholas leaves to go to the restroom. When he returns at 2:40, he appears to be making an excited look and has a white powdery substance on his nose. Your affiant believes his behavior is indicative of central nervous system stimulants. Your affiant believes, based upon training experience as well as the behavior of Nicholas, that he ingested this white powdery substance through his navel cavity while off camera. Your affiant knows through training experience that ingesting controlled substances through the navel cavity is common amongst controlled substance users and is often referred to as snorting. Your affiant also noted that throughout the video, Nicholas is so under the influence of a substance to the point he has to close one eye to read his screen, rambles and slurs his speech. Nicholas would obviously not be able to care for his children in this state of intoxication. It should be noted that your affiant was a drug recognition evaluated for several years, and based upon your affiant's training experience, the behavior of Nicholas in his video blog indicates polysubstance use, meaning it is believed he was ingesting more than one substance based on behavior, being both excited and nearly passing out. This can be consistent with using both CNS stimulants and depressants. Your affiant believes that the report of the neglect and controlled substances are consistent with the previously mentioned information. Your affiant is requesting to search the address in Spicer, Minnesota for the above items in relation to the welfare of the children in the home in relation to the controlled substance investigation. Your affiant is requesting to search Nicholas Rekeita. And then that was the application. Judge signed it. Then we have the return of property. Short tube, white substance. Very poor writing here. Credit cards, spent casing. Looks like nightstand, master bedroom, magazines, master bedroom. Very sloppy handwriting. Glass container, metal containers, bag with cards. Can't read the handwriting. White powdery substance. Baggie, small baggie, master bath, Ziploc, something, small baggie, white powder, digital scale, metal pan, white powder. This is in the master bath. 2 short tubes, 2 cutters. Yeah, isn't that terrible handwriting? Terrible. Bindle bags, white substance powder, master closet safe, scooper for master closet safe, 2 baggies in baggie, master bedroom, Springfield Armory 45, Sig Sauer 380 handgun, magazine with ammo, ammunition from garage, Remington 12 gauge shotgun, also garage, bullets from the master closet. So, like I said, I feel bad for Nick. Like I said, I mean, he's an acquaintance. I've been on his show. It's sad for him because he's going to lose potentially everything if these allegations turn out to be true. More than likely, the kids are going to go to social services. He's going to have to deal with bar issues as well, potentially losing his law license. I don't know off the top of my head. He goes to court and they'll make charging decisions. But the drugs, felony, guns, if they're going to say the guns are in relation to the drugs, bad juju stuff there for sure. That jacks up the potential penalty as well. Then you got the child neglect stuff. I mean, that's just, I feel bad for him. I mean, the guy had my understanding was a successful law practice, and then this YouTube stuff took off. And I remember somebody said, "Hey, you got to check out this Rekeita Law guy." He's like going on in the middle of the night, and he's got, I don't know, a huge number of people watching him at night. For some nights, I couldn't figure out what the hell he was talking about. It was some sort of agreement or something like that. And so I feel bad. I do. I hope it all works out for him. Like I said, here's your free legal advice for the day, ladies and gentlemen. Don't do drugs. If you're going to do drugs, make sure you have no kids. Make sure you have no kids around. And make sure that you do not have any firearms or ammunition around as well, because that just makes it even worse. Okay? Bad stuff. So like I said, I wish him well. I really do. All right. And then, of course, we have the Trump verdict. Closing arguments went today. I think the last I saw, the prosecution's closing statement. And once again, what the hell are they doing in New York? Every closing statement I've ever seen, apparently the prosecution goes first, right? That's the way it normally works. The defense goes, and then the prosecution gets to go again. They have the burden. They always go last. Fundamental criminal law. Here, the defense goes first, and then the prosecution goes second. I have never seen that before. I've never heard of that before. It just blows my mind. Okay. Like I said, it must be an East Coast thing. And the only time I've ever been in the East Coast, I was in federal, jurisdictions. So maybe I'm just naive, I guess, how things are going on there. I don't know. But anyway, the judge is going to deliver the final instructions tomorrow. Once again, a little unusual. Every time I've ever done a trial, and I cannot think of a situation where they have not done that, is that the attorneys spend a lot of time and effort preparing the jury instructions. Ultimately, the jury instructions are the job and the responsibility of the judge, because if he gets reversed on jury instructions, it comes back on him. Prosecution submits usually a draft. Defense will submit any of their proposed instructions, but really the defense doesn't have to submit any instructions until the close of all the evidence. Some judges are like, I need all jury instructions. Rah, rah, rah. No, judge, I don't have to. I don't have to give you my jury instructions until the close of evidence. Sorry you don't like it. But that's what it's going to be. Oh, what are you going to do? Not give me the jury instruction, judge, because of that, and commit reversible error? No. More cases get reversed. Okay? Mark this down. Remember this. More cases get reversed on 404B evidence Evidence is, other crimes to make you say, oh, you did this crime, therefore you must be guilty of this, right? It shows propensity evidence, which is strictly prohibited. Unless, of course, you can get around these cockamamie things. And what do we say? Bill Cosby, if it didn't get reversed on the basically immunity deal that the prosecutors didn't honor, it would have got reversed on 404B grounds. The movie producer, Harvey Weinstein, what did his case get reversed on? 404B evidence. My guess is California is going to do the similar type of thing. 404B evidence is wrong. It shouldn't be introduced. You should be allowed to introduce it in very, 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 very limited circumstances. Basically, in my opinion, if somebody says, you're a serial killer and you leave, some sort of mark or something, you leave a playing card, you etch something into one of the victims, something along those lines, that could kind of show, pattern of conduct, right? But just all this other stuff, it's nonsense and it comes back, okay? So 404B evidence and jury instructions. And let me tell you where judges screw up in jury instructions. They don't listen to the defense. It's that simple, okay? We have a case. It came back, homicide case, first-degree murder case. They found him not guilty of first-degree murder, but guilty of second-degree murder. We said, Judge, you got to give him this instruction. You got to give this proposed instruction. We're not making this up. It's settled case law. And the judge is like, no, I think it helps the defense too much. He didn't say that, but that's what he said. Oh, I don't think I'm not going to give that instruction. Well, Your Honor, then I'm going to tender it. I want it marked as a trial or, a court's exhibit for appellate purposes. And guess what? Court of Appeals agreed with this guy. It happens, ladies and gentlemen. 404B evidence and jury instructions. 404B evidence, prosecution creates those issues, and judge goes along with it. Wimpy judges create bad trial records. Then you got judges that don't do the instructions correctly. Okay, for the defense to get a jury instruction, you only have to present a mere scintilla of evidence that you are permitted to get that instruction. A mere scintilla. That's so tiny. But we want to have a fair trial. But trial court judges oftentimes aren't into getting a fair trial for everybody involved. They're into getting the result. They're interested in getting elected again. So I'm telling you, instructions, and not to go off on a lot of these cases, but that's where they get screwed up, and that's where they come back. And it's usually the judge. Like I said, what do we want in a good judge? A judge that calls balls and strikes. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that's what everybody thinks. Oh, the judge is on the side of the state. I mean, he works for the state, right? Yeah, but he's supposed to be the umpire. Not supposed to have a dog in this fight anyway. Simply call the ball and strike. Statute says A. If I apply the A to the facts, this is the result that I get. The problem is judges don't like to get to a particular result because they don't want to let oftentimes the evil bad guy go free. I get it. But sometimes it's so blatantly obvious that, Judge, you're not following the law. We had this trial. It was kind of near the end of COVID. And we were doing a bunch of trials. I mean, it was like back to back. And one was not we won it. We won them both. And thank God for the jury, because if we had lost, it would have come back on an instruction issue, I'm sure. But I got the complaining witness to admit that she fabricated the whole story on the witness stand. She fabricated. She admitted she lied. And I think it was all due to her mother coming up with these allegations. I truly do in my heart of heart. I don't think the kid knew exactly what was going on or appreciated it whatsoever. But we did that. Anyway, so we have the same judge, different case, and they pulled my client over on some total BS stop, right? The gang unit pulls my client over for tinted windows and loud music. Okay. Total BS. Oh, we pulled you over, right? Mind if we search your car? No. No, you can't search it. I do mind. And to make a long story short, they're like, well, we're not going anywhere until we get into the car. They come up with some reason. They're like looking around, looking into the windows, doing all they could do. They find a gun. Of course, my client's not supposed to have a gun. Anyway, make a long story short, we go to the motions hearing. The judge is like, oh my, this is such a tough decision. I don't know what to do. Clearly, this is a legitimate issue. I just don't know what to do. It's a very close call. I am struggling with this so much, but I'm going to have to go along with the prosecution. Okay, judge. Anyway, we go on to trial. And remember, the judge showed up because, like, you were just in trial. Are you going to ask for a continuance? No, judge, let's go do it. He had another trial. We get transferred to another judge. The judge basically lets me relitigate the motions issue in front of the judge, in front of the jury, I mean. And they promptly found him not guilty. Not guilty. And was it because they didn't find it? No. They were so offended by the police conduct that basically it was a form of jury nullification. They found him not guilty. And the judge, if he had just followed the law, right? I had 12 everyday citizens that knew that stop stunk. Those cops were not being honest. They were making crap up. They were going to search that car. And sure, the client had stuff in there, but they were violating his constitutional rights trying to do it. But the jury said, oh no, this is wrong. So those 12 citizens had enough gumption to say, no, prosecutor, you got it wrong. And judge, they didn't know that the judge ruled on it, but they're like, we're not finding this guy guilty. No way in hell. It was jury nullification. I've always said, ladies and gentlemen, if you can present to the jury an injustice, a jury will find a way to correct it. Mark those in your notes, ladies and gentlemen. Mark those in your notes for those taking notes at home, okay? If a jury can be presented with an injustice, the jury will remedy it. And that's what happened in that particular case. Because the judge didn't have enough guts. The judge couldn't say, I'm just an umpire calling balls and strikes. I don't care who wins or loses in this particular game. Right? Do you think the umpire is supposed to care which team wins, even though he's hired by Major League Baseball? No, he's out there to call balls and strikes. And if you can't do that, and you can't set aside your biases or your unwillingness to follow the law, go do something else. Go work for the prosecution. Go work for the defense. But get off the damn bench, ladies and gentlemen. But a lot of these people, I hate to say it, they don't like to do private practice. It's tough. Private practice is work. You got to deal with clients. You got to figure out how to get paid by your clients. You got to figure out how to keep them happy. You got to run a law firm. You got to keep them happy. It is more difficult than you could possibly imagine. Now, don't get me wrong. Judges are, at least in the district court where I reside, they're busy. They're overworked. They don't have a big support staff, unlike a federal bench. But the point is, you have to go there with one purpose in mind, which is to follow the law, not to be an advocate for a particular side. When you say, I want to be a judge, that means you're taking off your jersey for the other team. And a lot of judges don't remember that. They forget that. Somebody like Judge. I mean, I almost got held in contempt one day. I'm like, Judge, I mean, you're making objections from the bench on my questions that they're not objecting to. Like, are you trying to help them? And sometimes judges, this is a weird thing as well, they think that somehow it's their job to mentor these attorneys in their courtroom. No, you're not mentoring anybody. Your job is call balls and strikes, Judge. You want to be a mentor? Go sign up to mentor a law school student or something. Not in the courtroom. Your job is there is to teach them. And the way you teach them is you apply the law equally, even-handedly. And that's what you do. So anyway, some of these judges just blow my mind as to what they do. And they're not even shy about, let me say, I saw information to let us know, always remain respectful, Scott, the channel, and especially each other, different opinions is how we learn. Yes, we also believe in free speech. All right. People don't necessarily have to, I mean, there are some channels you can go to if you don't believe in what they're preaching, so to speak, as it relates to a particular case. They're like, shouldn't be here. We don't want your opinion here. Oh, okay. That sounds like pretty boring. Listen to a freaking echo chamber all day long. The reality of it is free speech is a good thing, right? I remember when I went to college, free speech, being exposed to different ideas was a good thing. It was kind of the classic liberal arts education, right? If you heard views that you didn't necessarily agree with, a couple things were going to happen. You would say, wow, I hadn't thought of that. You really gave me something to think about. I may change my opinion about that. Or you're going to say, okay, good point, but I've already considered that. Here's my analysis of that. And then therefore, you're only reinforcing my opinion, but you get there by having an open dialogue. You don't have to agree with me. Frankly, people that don't, in fact, I took a screenshot this evening of a individual that did not agree with me. And I think it's good. But let me explain. Jumping to the Brian Kohberger case then. All right. God, can you believe it's already been 42 minutes? God, it goes by so fast, doesn't it? Okay. This was from a commenter. It was in regards to the genealogical DNA stuff we talked about in the upcoming hearing in the Brian Kohberger matter, which is going to be Thursday. We'll bring it to you live. Hey, I just want to, and this was a geofence victim. Hey, I just want to disagree on something. You said the IGG program wasn't the fault of law enforcement, but rather the fault of the genealogy company. I disagree. The FBI didn't sign into the genealogy database as law enforcement. They signed in as a civilian in order to get access to everyone, including those who opted out from appearing in law enforcement searches. The FBI then acted as a civilian and submitted an anonymous tip to the Moscow PD with the information. While I don't believe this violated Kohberger's rights, it did violate the terms and service and did invade the privacy of the opt-out users who appeared in the FBI search results. I hope that those people have been alerted and someone files a lawsuit against the FBI. As for the sheath DNA, Kohberger could have touched the sheath anywhere, maybe while shopping in a Walmart. I hope they have a fingerprint on the window, for example, and not just the knife sheath DNA. So, obviously disagrees with my position, but yet he kind of agrees to it in the end. Yes, this IGG, right? This is all the 23andMe, find your ancestors, ancestry.com. They go through, they get the DNA swab, they tell them what they're going to be, and they save all this stuff. And in some terms of, service somewhere, somebody says, I don't want to be in, your database if this is going to happen. Well, guess what? FBI goes in, says, hey, we'd like to look at this database, see if we can get a match. Okay, sure. They log in as a civilian. Is that offensive to you? No, it's not to me. Why? Think about it every day. What did we just read in the affidavit? They went online. I read more information. Literally the first thing that police do these days is go to social media. I have a case literally where they tracked individuals down, masks covered up. They literally Googled a shirt. Where was it found? Oh, it went to a TikToker's shirt website. And then they tracked him down from there. So, but yes, there is government action, but they're not doing anything that everybody else couldn't do themselves. So it's good for cross-examination. It can certainly show some sort of injustice as it relates to how they conducted their investigation. Oh, by the way, I just happened to do this little research. You should go look at it, right? And then they go, but they do that all the time. I mean, they do that they build a case, they get their facts, they get enough to go get what we call a 41-1, which is court order to get a buccal swab. They come, you stick the big Q-tips in there, they swab them around their cheek, and they take it away, they do the DNA testing. That's what they did here, right? They use this IgG. They get the profile made up. They think, hey, look at this profile. It's good enough. Let's go get an order to get his DNA. Oh, the DNA allegedly matches the sheath on the knife for Brian Kohberger, right? And of course, if you all been here, you know that I think we're the only one on YouTube that has their own K-bar. That was, like I said, I purchased this, picked this up back in the summer of '88 after a little run through Marine Corps boot camp. Had it all those years, both as a reserve, active duty, been through a lot, seen a lot. And then when the Brian Kohberger case came out and they said K-bar, I'm like, oh, let me go get that out of the rafters in the garage. And there it was. Anyway. Yes, that sheath that DNA could have got there anywhere. I don't think I've ever seen a K-bar at a Walmart, but it's possible. I have seen them at some other, outdoor stores. Very possible, but what are the odds? What are the odds that it just happened to be there? And of course, the genealogical map. And don't get me wrong. Listen, hey, I don't want my DNA anywhere, right? I mean, we just don't want privacy. Okay. I know everybody puts everything out there. Oh, this is this, look at that. But pretty soon, being completely incognito is going to be the new cool. We do stuff on this YouTube channel. We put stuff up. But I still try to keep, a general sense of privacy. But guess what? It goes completely out the door when you pick up this phone. And you have this phone. You have no privacy. We have a link. We have an Amazon affiliate program. And we have a link there where you can get the Faraday bags. For complete privacy. And I've done it where I put my phone in the Faraday bag and I go to my, iPad and I take a look at it. Okay, here's my phone. And I put it in the Faraday bag. Oop, it's gone. I mean, that's kind of nice. But, do I want to put my phone in the Faraday bag every time I go in and out of anywhere? Do I have to check it every time? No. But I mean, not that I'm doing anything wrong, but I mean, this phone shows everything where you've been, what you've done. It's recording me right now. If I look on something, if I'm scrolling through Instagram or Facebook or Twitter, and all of a sudden I look at an ad too long, and guess what? I start getting a flurry of ads for something else. There is no privacy. And so the point that I was making as related to the IgG stuff and this viewers' comments, how they disagreed. I mean, it's not a violation of the Fourth Amendment. I truly don't believe it is. If it was, I'd be jumping up all and down saying, violate his Fourth Amendment rights. I don't think it is. It's good cross-examination for it. Like geofence victim said here, it did violate the terms of service to invade the privacy of the opt-out users who appeared in the FBI search results. I don't disagree. And I'm sure there's going to be some law firm somewhere that would take that particular case, just like when they have data breaches and people's information get out, and then, everybody gets, $25 coupon towards your next purchase of the company that you're sticking with, even though they completely violated your privacy. And then the attorneys get millions of dollars in their fees for settling the class action lawsuit. So I agree, but that's what it is. So I don't think that there's a Fourth Amendment violation by the police. I'm telling you what the police do. Don't live stream the crime scene is really what it boils down to. Don't take your phone to the freaking murder. Don't murder people. How's that? Even better legal advice, right? Better legal advice. There's no privacy. So, law enforcement says, we would like to get all the subscriber information for this phone number. Where were they? We saw it all in Chad Daybell, right? Try to be the defense attorney. Try to be a civil attorney. I mean, they have a specific act, federal law, that basically tells these providers that they have to comply with these subpoenas. You try to do it as if you do a plaintiff's case or, even a defense case, and you say, hey, I want to get all of that person's data from their phone. Can I go there and get it? No. What do you have to do? You have to go to them and say, please produce all your text messages, phone numbers, GPS data, etc. Would you please consent to this being, downloaded so that we can peruse your phone? What are most people going to say? No. But yet we do it every single day. Like we talked about a little bit today. Ladies and gentlemen, you're not the customer. You're the product. Everything you do, right? It's all given to you basically for free in exchange for your information to sell it to the subscribers, to the publishers that want to target you. That's who it goes to. You are that product. So don't be surprised when you say, but I can't believe they could do that. I can't believe they were going to do that. You gave it away. You said, Google, I give it to you, take it away. I think Apple was going to do it. They were like, oh, we're going to limit it. Right. They weren't going to provide the passcodes. And then, the government created Gray Key, or somebody created Gray Key. And then they did that. And all that was because people couldn't crack iPhones for that. They couldn't get into phones because they couldn't crack the code. And then it's like, hey, you can't make somebody give you the passcode. So necessity is the mother of invention. And then there you go. They learn how to crack it. How do they crack it? Well, they got to keep it plugged in. And if they keep it plugged in, they'll plug it in. And first thing they'll do is they'll go to the little iCloud thing that, has all your memory, your password saved. And then they'll try to see if that's in there. And sometimes they crack it and sometimes they can't. But at the end of the day, you gave it away for free, ladies and gentlemen. It's all there. Don't expect it all to be here and then just act like, well, no, the Supreme Court says I have privacy in my cell phone. You do, in your cell phone. But what do? Oh, they take a look at their stuff. Oh, let me get the subscriber information here. Oh, and then let me get the GPS data here. And oh, it looks like he has this app here. Let's go get that information from that application. And it just goes from there, ladies and gentlemen. So the IGG, I think, will be interesting. I, frankly, am a little skeptical of it. It's, just it's a narrowing down a process of elimination instead of looking at everybody's DNA that's out there some way, they narrow it down to these particular people that may have a similar makeup. Remind me, I will try to do it next week. I will try to do something to show how the breakdown of the alleles for the DNA works. I think it's rather interesting. Some people may not think it's great, but I think it's actually super, super interesting. And it's a statistics game. DNA is a game of statistics. And you've all heard the phrase, there's lies, damn lies, and then there's statistics. You can get those numbers any way you want them to be based upon the people within that particular database, the number of people that are actually, sampling in the samplings. You can play your numbers all day long, and they do. And most people think, oh my gosh, there's DNA. There's DNA. Oh my God, there's DNA on the little button there on that thing for nice sheath. That Brian Kohberger, how's he going to get rid of that DNA? And that's why I've said, I think the DNA stuff, there's some good aspects to it. And if you have a very clean, direct match, very high probabilities, almost direct, it's there. But it's, you gotta be careful of it. If they got a very low probability, a low statistical match to it, then it's skeptical. At some point, it's getting very close to, they shouldn't even consider it that there is a match to that. And a good DNA person will tell you that. Like, yeah, it's very low. When they do all their math, there's like 5 different levels. And the bottom one is like not a match, slight probability, it gets better and goes up to, 1 in 657 quadrillion that it's somebody else, right? Bad numbers. But I'm telling you, as a defense attorney, DNA, you have to be able to explain how it got there, right? If a lady says, oh my God, I was assaulted by the defendant, and okay, they get his DNA, they match it up to, found in various orifices of her body. How did he get there? Well, didn't get there by osmosis, right? So it was either non-consensual or consensual. So you better have a good consent case that it was consensual. Otherwise, it's going to get really bad. But if you can't explain how the DNA got there, you got real problems. Now you can say, well, I was in the area, right? But it depends on the substance, right? You get a little metal, that's a good DNA. The oils stick around, right? If I'm touching the microphone stand, I touch the computer, the wood, not as good. The wood desk, not as good. Just kind of like fingerprints as well. If I shake my hair about, right? Oh my gosh, did I get some dandruff or did the hair fall out? DNA. Dry skin, right? The cell material, the oils from the cells. You got to be able to explain it away. Oh yeah, that one. Oh yeah, I was down at the Cabela's store and I was checking these out, but I didn't like it. I went with the Rambo knife instead because I'd heard Scott Reich say these K-bars, well, they're not very good for sticking and jabbing kind of thing. So I went with the Rambo knife and had that jagged thing. I could cut barbed wire with it. It's just the way it works, ladies and gentlemen. So apparently it was the touch DNA that was on the step. Yeah. Callie, that's what it was. They have DNA, touch DNA from the oil, from his skin. Everyone keeps, it's touch DNA. Okay. It doesn't matter. It's DNA. They found the DNA, right? It doesn't, it's not like he's going to, have oh my God, it's saliva. What's he doing? Licking it? No. But does it make sense though, right? You're sweaty. The oils, the sweat from your hands, it can be transferred from the DNA. Touched. He touched it. Look at this snap. It's tough. This thing, I said I had it from 1988. That thing is still tough. It's meant to be that way so it doesn't come undone, but you got to push on it pretty hard, right? And I bet if somebody came in here and swabbed this little button and then they did the cutting from that little swab, they would have my DNA on here. Maybe a mixture. Because who knows? Maybe Frank came over here and played with the button on the K-bar. Maybe the cleaning people came in here and played with it. Maybe my employees thinking, God, this Scott guy is just, he's a real ass today. Where's that K-bar? They know not to go into the CrimeTalk studio and touch the CrimeTalk demonstrative aids. Okay. So that's where we stand on that, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be interesting. All right. Tomorrow should be a very big day. Closing arguments, Chad Daybell case. Jury gets instructed in the case against the former president. Be curious to see how long the jury deliberations will last in each. I think the Daybell trial, I think it's going to take him a couple of days. I think that the defense gave them something to think about. If I was a predicting man, I would still say guilty. But, stranger things have happened. I'm not even going to try to call the Trump trial. I have no idea what's going on. Some people said he couldn't get a fair trial. I don't like the judge's rulings, but it is what it is. And if there's a conviction, then you got to go do the appellate process just like it was any other defendant. I have no idea what's going to take place in that case. I don't know. If it's and you have to tell a jury oftentimes, right? And you have a case that nobody likes. It's a sexual assault on a child case, or it's a homicide case, or, a sexual assault against anybody case, right? You have to let the jury know, ladies and gentlemen, this is not a referendum on whether this is good or bad. This is a trial to determine if something happened, whether what the prosecution alleged happened or not. That's it. It's not a referendum on personalities between the prosecution and the defense. It's not even a referendum on the personalities of the defendant. It's based upon the facts of the case. And so I don't know. I think if people looked at the facts of the case, I'd say leaning not guilty. But then you have people that everybody says, oh, I can't get a fair trial in New York, which I hope that's not the case. The judge, don't get me wrong. I don't think the judge was playing fair at all. Frankly, the judge, we're not even going to go there. We'll just leave it at that, ladies and gentlemen. All right. We are going to do our Patreon show here in just a couple of minutes. We're going to finish my my dinner this evening. I tried to start scarfing it down because no matter what time we order it, we can order it at 5:00. We can order it at 5:40. It always arrives, as Frank says, at 6:04. Literally right before we go live, or 6:06, right after we start. So I'm going to finish my dinner. Then we're going to do our Patreon show. We'll talk about whatever you want. If you haven't become a Patreon member, you should do so. And just out of curiosity, you should go to our Amazon link and go buy a Faraday bag. Just out of curiosity. If you think it's worth it. I'm telling you, anonymity is going to be the new cool real soon, right? I don't know. Just out of curiosity, people want to go check it out. I know they're on there. It's been a while since we've done anything with that, but it'd be an interesting experiment to see if you feel more comfortable if your stuff's not getting there. And you got to get it sealed just right. Otherwise, your phone's still going to be on. But best way to do it, turn your phone off and then put it in the Faraday bag. But I need my phone literally 24/7. So it's tough to say, I'm going to put it in a Faraday bag every time I leave the office. Or unless I'm going to use it. Although, wouldn't that be cool? Wouldn't that just mess up Google's data so much? Anyway, we'll leave it at that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go do our Patreon show. If you haven't become a Patreon member, now would be a perfect time to do so. And you'll get all kinds of free, cool stuff. Like we got our evidence guide. We can send you everything you ever wanted to know about rules of evidence. I know there was a question about impeachment. We'll probably discuss that, at the Patreon show. Break that down as to how you have to do impeachment properly to do it. And so it's, try to explain something, and like I said, I wish Nick Rekeita the best. Seems like he's going through some tough times. Is going to be going through some more tough times personally and professionally. And I would not wish that upon anybody. So I wish him a quick recovery and a speedy resolution to his legal woes that are heading his way. So hang in there, Nick. It's going to be okay, man. It'll be okay. Just got to stay clean. All right. That's all I have for you tonight. Thanks for watching, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see our Patreon members over on the Patreon page in about 5 minutes.